Starting about 1993, I started to compile a list of historic sites related to the Seminole War in all the counties of Florida. And after about 5 years, I compiled a really good list. And I wanted to publish it in a book, but since at the time I was not a published author and we didn't have the internet yet, it was just a little too hard to do. Um, then the Seminole War Foundation in 2015, we were able to get a booklet published and it had accomplished what I wanted to do. So, mission accomplished, the Seminole War Heritage Trail. And I'll have a description in the down below in the description box on the booklet. So several of us with the Seminole War Heritage Trail went and made this booklet. Here, let me show the PDF version to you. So here it is. You can get from the Department of State website the Heritage Trail booklets. And so it's 60 pages long of all the different things. And so this being the 10th anniversary now of when we had this published, I wanted to update it and go through some of the sites in the booklet and add a few new ones that have been marked since then, like some historical markers, which Dale Cox of Two Egg TV has been very prolific of. This is going to be a multi-part series because just covering a few counties is going to take a lot. So I will start with the northwest region of Florida. So here are some of the sites that I'm about to discuss. And of course, the northwest region will be broken in different different sections too. Um, if you look at the Florida map here, let's see. Okay. Well, we're starting here. We're going to be in Escambia and Santa Rosa County for this episode of the Seminole War history. So that's where we'll be today. And the booklet description will have where you can get a PDF copy of the booklet and download it. I've had a lot of trouble getting reprints of it recently, so it seems like electronic is about the way to go on the booklet. So anyway, let's begin with Escambia County. And let me pull up the website. And I'm going to add a few things that didn't make the final cut of the booklet too, which I think are still important. So let's see. The first one I want to cover, and this is not the same order as the booklet. This is Fort Barrancas. Here's a model of it. It's a part of the National Park System, Gulf Island National Seashore. And Fort Barrancas, it's on the property of the Naval Air Station in Pensacola. So check the National Park Service website to make sure it's open because they've had only weekends open. Since COVID, it's been kind of really touch and go on when it's open. So I'm not sure if it's open full time again. Um, Another thing, if the Naval Air Station, it also has the National Cemetery where I believe a wife and a son of Geronimo are buried. And I don't think the cemetery has reopened to the public, unfortunately. So you can visit Fort Barrancas at the Naval Air Station. They also have a like a northern redoubt nearby Fort Barrancas, which was a fortification, a small one similar to Barrancas, a brick fort to guard the north entrance to Fort Barrancas. And why the Americans built that? Because that's the route that Andrew Jackson came and took the fort. Andrew Jackson actually took Pensacola twice, once during the War of 1812 in no, I think November 1814, and then again in took it from the Spanish again during the First Seminole War, and came in, I believe, April 1818 and actually held Pensacola for about 10 months till the Adams-Onis Treaty was signed to turn it back over to the Spanish for just a short period until the treaty was ratified by both countries. Anyway, this model of the fort, it has the wide areas of Spanish fortification that was constructed during the Spanish period, and the darker area, the pentagon shape, is the brick fortification as part of the third system of fortifications of the United States. So when the United States got Pensacola, they reinforced the fortification and actually had three forts at the entrance to Pensacola Bay. The other one, Fort McRae, is pretty much washed away. It's on one of the barrier islands. So that's worth a visit if you can visit Fort Barrancas. Next, we have downtown Pensacola. There's it's a reconstruction of the Panton Leslie store. Here's a sketch of the trading house. It was the kind of the headquarters of the Panton Leslie Company that traded with the Indians from about, I believe, 1784 until the Americans took over, had a monopoly on deerskin trade and had other satellite trading houses all over the Southeast, including St. Mark's, south of Tallahassee, two different stores on the St. Johns River, and I think elsewhere. And so here's the model of the store on it's in downtown Pensacola. It's on Baleen Street, right across from the courthouse, right near the water. It looks like a little dollhouse. It's, kind of about a quarter size original for those of you who build models. And so, yeah, let's see if I can find a website on this. I believe I do have a website. Here it is. Okay. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Okay, let's try that again. Ah, here I am. Now I found it. I got several tabs open. This from the Encyclopedia of Alabama, talking about the Panton Leslie store. Kind of a curious thing is that this, and of course, tied in with the history of William Augustus Bowles. Kind of interesting is that the city kind of decorates it during the year. One year I went by during Halloween and they had it Halloween decorations and pumpkins and stuff and other fall decorations. And let me see if I saved another website. If not, we'll move on. But hold on a minute. Oh no, okay. Well, checking to see if I have it on the historical marker database. I might not. Okay. Okay, moving along there. So, Panton Wesley store, that's another stop on the Seminole War Heritage Trail. And of course, downtown Pensacola, I want to talk about the hist Pensacola Historical Museum. So, here's here's the museum. It used to be called the T.T. Wentworth Museum, who was a guy who collected just about everything. So it has a lot of curios from his collection. Unfortunately, it was found a few years ago that Wentworth was head of the Ku Klux Klan in Pensacola. So he fell from favor, and his name was struck from the building, which is no longer named after him. It's so kind of struck from history of Pensacola too. Pretty interesting inside. I'm not going to cover all of it, of course, but in front of the museum, they have kind of the square, a monument to Andrew Jackson. And beyond that, that's the monument commemorating where the changeover of flags was between the United States and Spain, where Spain handed it over, Pensacola and West Florida, over to Andrew Jackson in June 1821, once the treaty had been ratified. Inside the museum there's some display. You know, this is dealing with more your Seminole War period, of course. Your Shako looks like an art has well, it has an infantry symbol on it on there, and typical swords and pistols. And part of the museum they show this is George McCall. I think after the Civil War, it says he was in charge of Pensacola during Reconstruction period. He was very active in the Seminole War under the command of General Gaines during Gaines's failed command, and also he wrote his memoirs, Letters from the Frontier. Um, so that's, you always run across these officers later on in history. At the museum, you can buy your ticket to Pensacola Village and go visit very many historical villages in the area. So here's the one of the houses dating from in use between 1760 and 1829. Mariana Bonifay, early Pensacola pioneer. In fact, her family, there's a town named Bonifay in West Florida that's probably named after them. And at the end of the village, there's Christ Church, which is interesting. This is the church here. This is not the first church building, but this was the second one. Here's Christ Church here. And I want to point this out because this was originally the Episcopal Church, and which was where Major Dade and Amanda Middleton got married. So in this church, I think it was in maybe 1825 or something, Major Dade was stationed in Pensacola. Amanda Middleton, the Middletons were a very prominent mercantile family in the town. And across, I think across the street or a couple blocks from there is St. Michael's Cemetery. Here is the grave of Major Dade's daughter, Fanny Langhorne Dade, F.L. Dade. She died at age 18 and is buried here along with her mother, Amanda Middleton Dade. Oh, that's Fort Pickens, but let's come back to that later. Before we leave Pensacola, a few more things. A few more things about Pensacola. So, yeah, this is the website of Historical Pensacola where you learn about the museum and get your tickets for uh, touring the historical village and visiting some of the houses. Um, historical Mike St. Michael's Cemetery. It's been very well documented in recent years of ground penetrating radar, figuring out where the graves are. And here it is. It's pretty much if you get off the interstate at 110, it dumps you right here at St. Michael's Cemetery, where you can go in there. It's right near the waterfront. So, and here's an aerial shot. I think Stephen Mallory, who was like the Confederate, what was he, the Secretary of Navy or Secretary of War, something like that. And in St. Michael's Cemetery, of course, here's Find a Grave, Amanda Middleton Dade in the Middleton plot. She's kind of in the back fence, so when if you come in the gate in the front, she's like in the very opposite end in the back end with an obelisk here. And I believe Frank Lomer put a helped restore the headstone of the daughter, which I think is behind her mother's tombstone right there. Okay, so one more spot in Pensacola. Let's see where we can find that. Leaving St. Margaret, or is actually this is outside Pensacola on the south side. I mentioned Fort Barrancas, and on the south Santa Rosa Island is Fort Pickens, Civil War fortification. Many of you heard of that. That's also in the national park. It's not in the Heritage Trail booklet, but I like to cover this because Geronimo and his family and Naichi's family, Chiricahua Apaches, were held prisoner here in the 1860s for a few years until they're reunited with the rest of the Apache people from St. Augustine at in Mobile for Mount Vernon Barracks in Mobile. So they were held prisoner here. So always interesting. And so, what's this? This kind of northeast of Pensacola. There's a historical marker that's been added recently. I think 2022. This was added by Dale Cox and Two Egg TV. Battle and Massacre at Bayou Texar for Seminole War in April 1818. As the Americans were coming towards Pensacola, there's a encampment of Creek refugees that the Americans attacked and killed several and took others prisoners, a sad period of history. If we go to Find a Grave, which is, well, I'm sorry, not Find a Grave, the Historical Marker Database, which is a website that I go to frequently. Here it is right here. It's on the bay side. It looks like a boat ramp. It says in Escambia County, actually southeast Pensacola. Okay, I'm sorry, not northeast, southeast. Intersection of East Lloyd Street, North 20th Avenue, under Oak parking for the Bayview Senior Center. So, address 2000 East Lloyd Street in Pensacola. And here it is right on the water there. I'm going to have to visit that next time I go there. Pictures by my friend Tim Filmon, who has some great Facebook web pages of historical markers in Florida. So that is the um, historic sites for the Seminole War Heritage Trail around Pensacola, very western edge of Florida, Pensacola and Santa Rosa counties. So we'll continue much further east, about, let's say, about 100 miles east of here for our next program. And I hope you enjoyed this and check back for our next one as I add more episodes to the Seminole War Heritage Trail 10th Anniversary Edition.